You're not ugly. You're just invisible to the weak. Let that slap you in the face for a second. Most men walk through life thinking something's wrong with them. Too short, too average, too boring. But the truth is brutal and freeing. You're not unnoticed because you're unattractive. You're ignored because you intimidate the shallow. You unsettle the fake. You awaken the insecure. And somewhere inside, you already know this. You've felt it, that weird tension when you walk into a room. That moment when women glance at you and then quickly look away as if they got caught. That thing you can't explain. But you know it's there. Congratulations. That's one of the first signs. Presence. Not loud, not flashy, just undeniable. And in this video we're going to tear apart the 8 signs that you're one of those rare men women simply can't ignore, even if they try. The superior man is quiet, composed, and unmoved. He doesn't chase attention, he commands it. Lao Tzu. Women don't obsess over what they can have, they obsess over what they can't understand. Robert Greene. This ain't for the weak. This isn't for the guy who still thinks opening doors and being the nice guy is gonna unlock desire. This is for the silent wolves, the men who move like shadows, unnoticed by fools, unforgettable to women with depth. See, attraction isn't about the surface. It never was. Real attraction is emotional, primal, psychological. You don't win a woman's attention because of your jawline. You win it because of your signal, the quiet storm in your energy that makes her lean in without knowing why. And here's the kicker. Most men lose their signal. They try to blend in. They silence their edge. They shrink around women. And then they wonder why no one remembers them. But not you. Because if you've ever caught a woman staring, then quickly pretending she wasn't. If you've ever had a girl act nervous around you for no reason. If you've ever walked away from a conversation knowing you didn't even try, but she was lit up like fireworks, then this video is going to confirm what you've suspected for years. You're the eye-catcher, not the clown, not the try-hard, not the background filler. You're the reason she checks her reflection twice. And if you think I'm being dramatic, let me hit you with the science. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships showed that women are 300% more likely to remember and fantasize about a man who displays unpredictable stoicism, calm, unreadable, but deeply intense body language over men who are overly expressive or approachable. Read that again. Mysterious dominance gets remembered, predictability gets replaced. In other words, it's not the loudest guy in the room who captures her imagination. It's the one who doesn't need to speak, the one whose silence says everything. So if you're watching this and you felt like you're on the edge of being noticed, but not quite owning it, good. That means you've got raw power. You just haven't learned to sharpen it yet. And that's what this video is. Not just validation, transformation. Because I'm going to walk you through 8 unmistakable signs you're already making women notice you, even if they never admit it, even if they pretend not to. And once you recognize these signs in yourself, you won't play the same game again. You won't chase. You won't explain. You won't ask. You'll command. But a warning, if you're looking for comfort, leave. This video will punch holes in the lies you've been sold. It'll confront your inner coward, and it'll wake up the version of you that women feel before you even open your mouth. Because I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to remind you who the F you are. A lion does not concern himself with the opinion of sheep. Tywin Lannister, Game of Thrones. The more you hide, the more they wonder. The less you show, the more they chase. Unknown. You see, women are wired to pick up on cues you don't even realize you're giving off. They don't always do it consciously, but they're subconscious. It's scanning every man in the room, his posture, his eyes, his stillness, his tone. Is he safe? Is he soft? Is he strong? Is he a fantasy? And when you have even half of the 8 signs I'm about to break down, her radar lights up. She doesn't know why she's drawn to you. She just is. She might deny it. She might act cold. But the attraction is already alive. So here's the deal. If you want to understand what it actually means to be unforgettable, to have that magnetic, quiet presence that women can't explain, can't fake and can't forget, watch this entire video, because point number 4, that's the key. That's when everything will click. That's when you'll realize you're not almost there. You've been that guy this entire time. You just didn't know how to use it. And when I drop the secret mantra tied to that point, it's going to reprogram the way you walk into every room, every date, every conversation, forever. So do not skip. Do not fast forward. Don't rob yourself of this. You've been on the edge of becoming lethal for far too long. This video is the push. If you're serious about upgrading your presence and becoming the man women chase, stalk, and silently crave, then do these 3 things right now. Subscribe to this channel, because we don't do soft advice here. Like this video if you're done asking for attention and ready to command it. Comment the phrase, "I move in silence, but I'm always seen." We'll decode exactly what that means when we hit point number 4. Let's go. Welcome to the truth. Sign number 1. Women get visibly nervous around you, and you don't know why. Let me make one thing crystal F, and it scares the hell out of them. You ever talk to a woman, nothing heavy, just light conversation, and suddenly she's fidgeting with her hair, playing with her rings, adjusting her top, or randomly blurting out something awkward just to fill the silence. That's not boredom. That's not disinterest. That's involuntary tension. That's sexual pressure she doesn't know how to handle. And here's where most guys get it twisted. They think unless a woman is giggling and throwing herself at you, she's not into you. Wrong. Dead wrong. The stronger the emotional response, the more memorable the experience. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, understand this. When a woman feels safe and aroused, her body reacts in subtle but unmistakable ways, and one of the first signs that you're triggering something deep and primal is her anxiety. Not the kind that makes her want to run away, the kind that makes her hyper-aware of herself. Think about it. You ever been around someone you really admire? A boss, a celebrity, someone who made you feel like you needed to be on point, that tension in your stomach, that self-consciousness, that's exactly what women feel when they're around a man they see as high value. And the more emotionally still you are, the more it escalates. You say less. She overthinks more. You stay grounded. She gets flustered. You make eye contact. She breaks it, then comes back. That's not a lack of confidence on her part. That's her body trying to process the psychological impact of your presence. Let that sink in, and it only happens when you have something called energetic gravity. What the hell is that? It's the silent aura some men carry that shifts the mood of the room without saying a damn word. It's the opposite of overcompensation. It's not peacocking, it's not loud jokes, it's not goofy extroversion. It's stillness, it's self-control. It's having so much internal stability that it makes others emotionally unstable in your presence. The man who stands unmoved becomes the center of gravity for everyone else. Marcus Aurelius. Now let me make this even clearer. If you've ever had a woman do any of the following: start talking faster for no reason, touch her neck, collarbone, or lips while you speak, break eye contact the second you hold it, laugh too hard at things that weren't even funny, randomly mention her boyfriend or how crazy guys are these days out of nowhere, apologize unnecessarily mid-conversation, sorry, I'm rambling, ask you weird questions like, are you always this quiet? Then congratulations, you're the storm she's trying to stay calm in, and she's failing. Now here's the dangerous part. Most men see this and back off. They think she's acting weird. Maybe I'm making her uncomfortable. So they get smaller, softer, friendlier, and that kills the charge. Game over. But the real ones, the men who understand female psychology, do the opposite. They hold the frame, they keep the same tone, same pace, same grounded posture, because they know something most men will never figure out. Her nervousness is a green light, not to be arrogant, not to be aggressive, but to stay rooted, to lean into the tension without trying to fix it. Because when you can hold space like that, you become unshakable, and women feel safe inside the chaos you create in them. Here's the part you need to hear. You don't trigger that kind of energy unless she feels your value before you even speak. It's not about being handsome. It's not about being alpha. It's about emotional charge, and most guys are running on empty. But if this is happening to you, if women are subtly acting weird, fidgety, overly polite, slightly awkward or randomly distant right after meeting you, you're doing something right. You're pulling them out of their mask. You're disrupting their autopilot. You're making them feel, and they don't know why. That's power, but only if you recognize it, only if you don't sabotage it. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most women are used to being in control of conversations, of men, of attention. But when you walk in and they feel off balance, they'll either submit to the pull or pretend to be unaffected, and then obsess about it later in bed. Both are wins. But if you start doubting yourself in that moment, if you mistake her nervousness for disinterest, you give your power away. You stop being the storm and become a breeze. And trust me, no woman loses sleep over a breeze. Attraction is not built through effort. It's built through polarity. David Dida. So remember this. Her nerves are your signal, not to change, not to apologize, but to stand still and stay silent longer. Because when a woman gets visibly nervous around you, you've already won the room. Let the tension work for you. Let her fumble. Let her chase the comfort she suddenly craves. The comfort that only you can give if you choose. And that's the key word, choose. Because once you know how to recognize these signs, you'll realize something dangerous. You were never the one chasing. You were just learning how to notice the chase already happening in front of you. Welcome to power. Now hold it. Sign number 2. You make women fix their appearance. Mid-conversation. Let me hit you with a brutal truth. Women don't adjust their appearance for men. They're not thinking about F. Let that land. If you're in a room with a woman and she suddenly starts fixing her hair, adjusting her posture, licking her lips, pulling her top down slightly, checking her reflection on her phone screen, or reapplying lip gloss when she wasn't doing any of that before you showed up, congratulations. You've just activated her primal performance mode. She may not say it. She may not even consciously know why she's doing it, but her body does. And her body just told her, you're being watched by someone who matters. Attraction causes preening, subconscious grooming behaviors triggered by the presence of a high-value mate. Journal of Evolutionary Psychology. See, most guys don't even notice this. They're too busy focusing on what she says instead of what she does. But eye-catchers, the men women really want, see through the words. They feel the shift. They see the micro-adjustments, and most importantly, they stay calm. Because once you understand this signal, you realize something terrifyingly powerful. You are the reason she suddenly feels the need to enhance herself. Not because you insulted her, not because you asked her to, but because your energy raised the standard. That's real value, unspoken, unforced, undeniable. Now here's where it gets interesting. A woman might be deep in conversation with you, relaxed, playful, and the moment she starts to feel that attraction click into place, boom. She sits up straighter. She touches her face more. She smooths her clothes. She adjusts her bra strap. She glosses her lips like it's second nature. These are primal readiness cues. Your presence just flipped a switch in her that goes way beyond logic. The female brain is wired to enhance physical attractiveness in the presence of dominant male traits: confidence, posture, voice tone, and subtle unpredictability. Dr. Luann Brizendine, The Female Brain. So if this has ever happened to you, if you've been mid-conversation and suddenly the woman in front of you acts like she's prepping for a photo shoot, don't ignore it. Don't get nervous. And sure as hell don't compliment her for doing it. Why? Because the moment you acknowledge it with wide-eyed approval or thirsty validation, "Wow, you look amazing," or "I like when you do that," you kill the polarity. You remove the mystery and center the spotlight on her when it's you she's trying to impress. You were already winning. Don't hand her the trophy too early. Real eye-catchers know how to hold the tension. They stay poised, unmoved, unbothered, because deep down they understand something most men never will. Women don't decorate for the men they've already figured out. They decorate for the men who keep them guessing. They decorate for the man whose attention is rare, earned, never guaranteed. And here's the wild part. Even when they act like they don't care, they do. Even when they pretend they're not aware of your presence, their body is already reacting. And that's what this sign is all about. The involuntary non-verbal shift that happens the second a woman feels herself stepping into your orbit. It doesn't matter if she's seen you once or 20 times. If you've got that thing, she'll catch herself fixing her appearance around you. And not just for vanity, for survival. Because you've become the emotional equivalent of a spotlight. And once a woman feels that, she's not just thinking about you, she's imagining how you see her. And that's when the game changes. Let me say that again because it's that important. When a woman starts imagining herself through your eyes, you've already won the frame. Now you've got a choice. You can lean into that with silent, grounded presence, the kind that makes her want to keep performing. Or you can blow it all by being overly eager and letting your attention become predictable. Eye-catchers never rush. They never react like they're lucky to be noticed. They recognize the signs, and they own the moment. Because they know the truth. When a woman starts fixing her appearance around you, you're not chasing her. She's preparing herself for you. Not for conversation. Not for validation, for possibility. Possibility of touch, possibility of tension, possibility of something deeper, something she didn't expect to feel that day but can't shake now. And here's what makes this so deadly. You're not even trying. You're just existing, fully, authentically, in your masculine energy. And your presence is doing more to activate her femininity than 100 compliments ever could. So the next time you notice her pulling out the lip balm, brushing her hair behind her ear, adjusting her jeans, or leaning toward a mirror as she speaks, smile on the inside, because she doesn't even realize. She's already performing for you, and you haven't even touched her yet. Sign number 3. She tries to put you in a box. But can't let me tell you something the weak never understand. The moment a woman can fully figure you out, she stops craving you. Attraction dies the second predictability begins. But when you're an eye-catcher, a man whose vibe doesn't neatly fit into her usual categories, she doesn't know what the hell to do with you. And that confusion, that internal chaos, that's when the obsession starts. The mind is magnetized not by what it understands, but by what it can't quite grasp. Carl Jung, listen carefully. When a woman first meets you, she instinctively tries to size you up, categorize you, box you into something she's seen before. Oh, he's the nice guy. He's the player. He's the shy one. He's the confident businessman. He's the funny one. She needs a file to put you in, or else she feels out of control. But if you're the kind of man who walks in calm, composed, but unreadable, you scramble the entire system. You're warm, but not overgiving. You're funny, but not performative. You're dominant, but not arrogant. You're stoic, but unpredictable. You make her brain glitch. And that glitch, that's a sign of real magnetic presence, because now she's thinking, wait, is he into me or not? He's quiet, but he doesn't seem nervous. He's intense, but I feel safe. He doesn't talk much, but I can't stop thinking about what he's thinking. Congratulations, you've become a psychological riddle, and there is nothing more addictive to the female mind than a man she can't decode. The female attraction center is neurologically triggered by ambiguity. It activates a pursuit state. Certainty, ironically, shuts it off. Dr. Helen Fisher, anthropologist, Why We Love You. See, most guys make it way too easy. They over-explain. They spill their entire personality in the first conversation. They signal every intention with needy energy and excessive compliments. But eye-catchers don't do that. They move slow. They stay grounded. They let her wonder. And that uncertainty, that lack of clarity, it keeps her mentally invested, even after the conversation ends. Because here's what no one tells you. Once a woman's mind is looping around you, her emotions start filling in the gaps. She starts imagining who you are. She starts projecting fantasies. She fills in the silence with stories. And all of it is powered by you, because you gave her nothing to pin you down. This is why some women get emotionally defensive around high-value men. She might say, I can't figure you out. You're hard to read. You seem too calm, like you're always holding something back. You're trouble, aren't you? You don't really open up much, do you? Sound familiar? Those aren't insults. Those are indicators of psychological intrigue. She's not frustrated. She's fascinated. She just doesn't know how to handle the tension. Because she's used to men making it easy. She's used to control. And now you've short-circuited her system. But here's the danger. Once she starts probing you, trying to get a read on you, she's investing energy. And energy breeds attachment, which means every vague smile, every slow pause, every controlled stare you deliver is being dissected like a damn crime scene, and she loves it. When she can't predict your next move, she has no choice but to pay attention. Alpha energy. So how do you keep this edge? Simple. Stay layered. Stay unpredictable. Stay honest, but not obvious. If she asks you a direct question, don't rush to fill the silence. If she probes you for a backstory, give her enough to stay interested, but never enough to feel finished. If she compliments your vibe, thank her, but don't mirror it. Let her feel like she's uncovering you, bit by bit, not owning you. Because the more mysterious the treasure, the more valuable it becomes. Here's another dead giveaway. If she starts assigning labels to you, you're probably one of those cocky types. You don't care what people think, do you? You're a bit of a flirt, huh? That's not judgment, that's projection. She's testing boxes, trying to trap your essence inside a category that gives her control. But the more she tries and fails, the more she needs to solve you. That's when emotional dependency forms. And here's the power move. Never correct her. Let her assume. Let her be wrong. Because when a woman builds a fantasy around you, it's her own imagination that hooks her, not your effort. And the deeper that fantasy gets, the harder it is for her to walk away. She thinks she's observing you, but she's been pulled into your world from the moment she couldn't figure you out. So if you're the kind of man who's constantly being asked, why are you like this? What's your deal? Are you always this calm? You don't seem impressed by anything. Don't change. You're doing everything right. You've become an enigma, a slow-burning, mind-bending, soul-shifting puzzle she'll keep trying to solve until she's too far gone to pull back. And the best part, you're not playing games. You're just being you, a man who refuses to make himself small enough to fit in her mental filing cabinet. She can't figure you out. She doesn't know where to place you. And now, she can't stop thinking about you. Sign number 4. You haunt her mind. long after you're gone. Let me hit you with something cold. If she doesn't remember you when you're not there, you never mattered in the first place. You weren't the one. You were a filler, a pleasant memory, not a mental echo. Because here's what separates men women like from men women obsess over. The ones they can't stop thinking about didn't do much. They just existed with weight. You think women only crave excitement, flashiness, status? No, they crave emotional residue, that aftertaste of a man whose presence lingers not because of what he said, but because of how she felt when he said nothing. The strongest presence is felt in absence. What stays in the mind reveals what mattered in the moment. Friedrich Nietzsche. If you're truly an eye-catcher, here's what happens. You talk to her for 5 minutes, then disappear. You leave the group chat dry. You don't double text. You walk away from the convo while she's still smiling, and then she's lying in bed, scrolling through nothing, thinking, why the hell can't I stop thinking about him? That, my brother, is emotional imprinting, and it's lethal, because now you're not just that guy from earlier. You're a phantom in her mind. A storm she didn't see coming, a vibe she didn't prepare for, a memory she can't delete, and you didn't force it. You didn't beg for attention. You just walked in, stood still, and let her brain assign meaning to your mystery. A 2020 neuroscience study published in Nature Human Behavior found that people remember emotionally ambiguous social encounters longer and with greater intensity than clear-cut interactions. Translation: uncertainty breeds memory, so if she's texting first, if she's watching your stories minutes after they drop, if she's bringing up little things you said weeks ago, if she's randomly bumping into you or liking old photos, you've left a mark. And that mark didn't come from talking about yourself. It didn't come from impressing her. It came from how you made her feel about herself in your presence. Not praised, not judged, seen. That's the part that messes with her head, because women are used to being looked at, but rarely do they feel felt. And when you give her that, when you look at her not with hunger or approval, but with calm curiosity, she spirals. Not because you did too much, but because you did exactly enough. Now let's take it deeper. If she's replaying your words in her head, if she's trying to decode the meaning behind your silence, if she's asking her friends, what do you think he meant by that? You're not in the friend zone, you're not the rebound, you're the storm that moved through quietly and left everything tilted. This is why I told you in the intro to comment the phrase, I move in silence, but I'm always seen. Because that is what this sign is all about. You don't need to be loud, you don't need to be flashy, you don't need to force your presence on the world. You just are. And the world adjusts around you. That's why you don't overtext. That's why you don't explain your value. That's why you let her come to you once the silence grows louder than any words you could have said. Most men never get this far. They chase. They overinvest. They saturate the connection with so much effort that there's no oxygen left for attraction to breathe. But you let space do the talking. You let her imagination run wild. You let the echo of your presence haunt her in the best way possible. And once you become that man, the one she remembers in silence, not just in conversation, everything changes. Because now she's no longer wondering if she likes you. She's trying to unlike you, and failing. And what's even crazier, you didn't even try. You just lived the mantra. I move in silence, but I'm always seen. Let that be your operating system, because when you do, you become unshakable, undeniable, unforgettable. You become the standard, the one she secretly measures other men against. And guess what? They all come up short, because they try to impress her. But you left an impression. And that's the difference between attention and impact, between attraction and addiction. So if you've had women text you out of the blue, Say, "I don't know why I keep thinking about you." Seem annoyed that they're still interested. Act distant, then pull back in hard or get weirdly emotional after a brief connection. You've unlocked sign number 4. You've become the one she can't explain, one and can't forget. Don't abuse it. Don't overuse it. Just own it. Because at this point, you don't even walk in the room anymore. You haunt it. Sign number 5. Her body language gives you away before she even knows it. Here's the raw truth nobody teaches men. A woman's mouth will lie, her words will dodge, but her body will always snitch. You don't need her to say she's into you. Her hips already did. Her feet already did. Her pupils already did. Over 93% of human communication is non-verbal. Body language reveals unconscious emotional responses faster than words ever can. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, Psychology of Communication. Let me ask you something direct. Ever been talking to a woman, casual, nothing intense, and you notice her posture shift? She starts angling her body toward you. Her feet point at you, even when she's speaking to someone else. She leans in just slightly when you speak, even though the room is quiet. She mirrors your gestures. Or better, she doesn't break eye contact, even when there's no reason to hold it. That's not coincidence. That's subconscious submission. That's her body bypassing logic and reacting to a man it finds compelling. And here's the best part. She doesn't even realize she's doing it, which means it's real, not staged, not filtered, instinctual. Most women are hyper-aware of their image. They know how to control their smiles, their tone, their flirt. But body language, that's primal, that's automatic, that's truth leaking out. So when a woman's body starts betraying her like that, you've already won the psychological battle. And the more stoic you are, the more grounded, calm, and slow you move, the more her body starts reacting in ways she can't stop. Dilated pupils, lip biting, fidgeting with jewelry, nails, or hair, exposing her neck, adjusting posture when you look her way, touching the area between her chest and collarbone, the most sensitive psychological pressure point in female body language. Each one of those signs is like a flare going up. She's not just talking, she's signaling. And you didn't have to say anything. Attraction is first felt through the body, long before the mind can justify it. David Dida. Now here's where most men fail. They see the signs and get excited. They lean in too hard. They try to escalate too fast. They chase the moment instead of commanding it. Wrong move. If her body language is already surrendering, you don't push. You pause. You let the tension marinate. You keep speaking slow. You control the moment with your breath, your stillness, your eye contact. Because if her body is already playing the song, you just have to be the silence that makes it louder. Here's another dead giveaway. You're in a group, maybe at work, a party, the gym, and she finds a way to be near you. You didn't invite her over. You didn't even notice her at first. But somehow, she's standing closer than necessary. Her shoulder brushes yours accidentally. Her arm lingers too long during a laugh. She chooses the seat next to you every time, or she just keeps orbiting, near but not needy. That's body language attraction 101. She wants your energy. She wants to feel you up close, not in a sexual way yet, in a magnetic way. You've got something she doesn't understand. But her nervous system wants more of it, and here's the secret power most men ignore. When a woman's body reacts first, her mind will follow, not the other way around. Meaning, if you focus on being the kind of man whose vibe makes her body lean in, you never have to sell yourself. You never have to convince her. You never have to overgame, because her own body is already doing the convincing for you. You've become a walking contradiction to her logic. I don't even know him well. He's not even talking that much. I usually don't go for this type, but her body is already in. And that kind of dissonance, that internal split between what I should feel and what I am feeling, that's addiction being born in real time. Now, let me hit you with the high-level awareness. If you see these signs, don't react with ego, react with poise. You are not lucky. She is drawn. Let her try to make sense of it. Let her be the one chasing comfort inside the tension. You just stay cool, stay grounded, stay deliberate, because when her body starts leaning toward you before she even knows why, it's not a signal to pounce. It's a signal that you've already entered her nervous system. You're no longer some guy. You're a felt experience, a whisper in her blood, a shift in her chemistry, a question her mind will replay every time she catches herself reacting to you without a clue why. That's the power of real attraction, not forced, not faked, not loud, just embodied. So next time you're in her presence, don't ask, "Does she like me?" Ask instead, "What's her body doing when she thinks I'm not watching?" That's where the truth is. That's where the game really begins. That's how eye-catchers stay unforgettable, even in silence. Sign number 6. Women compete for you, even when they pretend they're not. Let's stop pretending. When a man has it, women compete, not openly, not like men do, but in quiet, savage, psychological warfare. And if you're truly an eye-catcher, not just in looks, but in energy, presence, mystery, you'll start to notice a bizarre, almost uncomfortable tension in rooms where there are multiple women. They shift, they scan, they adjust tone, and suddenly they start playing off each other's energy. But it's not for status, it's not for validation, it's for you. Female competition is more covert than male competition, but neurologically it's just as aggressive. Subtle behaviors like tone changes, indirect jabs, and shifts in body language are common signs of mate competition. Dr. Joyce Benenson, Warriors and Worriers. Let me break this down for you. If you've ever walked into a group setting and felt the vibe change instantly, that wasn't random. That was the law of sexual market dynamics playing out in real time. Let's say there's a group of women, friends, co-workers, gym regulars. You walk in, calm, composed, no thirst in your body. Suddenly, the volume rises. One woman starts laughing louder than usual. Another one touches your arm mid-joke. A third one starts roasting you playfully, trying to stand out. And now they're all hyper-aware of each other. Guess what just happened? You became the prize. And women compete for a prize, even when they act like they don't care. That competition doesn't look like hair-pulling. It looks like micro-behavior warfare, subtle glances to see who you're watching, interrupting each other's stories, mocking each other's interest. Oh, wow, you're really into that guy, huh? Physical proximity games. Accidentally getting closer to you, sudden interest in your hobbies, values, or even your silence. Here's the kicker. They're not even doing it consciously. Their nervous systems are responding to male scarcity. You've triggered a primitive signal that says, this man is rare. He's not desperate. He's not trying to impress. He's not picking anyone. So what happens? They try to outshine. Women compete in beauty and behavior when mating opportunities are limited. Subtlety is the key weapon, because being seen as overtly competitive reduces female social cohesion. Evolutionary Psychology Journal. In plain English, they don't throw punches, they throw smiles, sarcasm, and indirect shade. So, if you've ever been in a room where two women are sweet to you but cold to each other, a girl you've barely spoken to suddenly gets territorial. One woman's vibe switches the moment you start vibing with someone else, or you get the look from one girl right after laughing with another. You're not imagining things. You're the silent center of attention. You're the variable, and they're reacting to each other based on you. That's dominance. Not loud, not brash. Ambient, silent, powerful. Here's what most guys do wrong. They pick a side too early. They validate one girl publicly. They collapse the tension by trying to reward the competition. Terrible move. What should you do instead? You let the tension simmer. You stay grounded. You stay detached. You observe. Because the real power is in not reacting to the war you're causing. You don't need to play favorites. You don't need to explain yourself. You just need to stay unpredictable, and when one of them tries to win you by escalating attention, you match her energy without giving away certainty. That's how you stay in the throne. You're not the dancer, you're the rhythm. Here's the deeper game. Women don't chase men they've already captured. They chase men other women are trying to capture, but can't quite hold. So once they sense they're in a quiet competition, they upgrade their outfit when they know you'll be around. They become warmer, more playful. They post cryptic stories hoping you'll watch. They ask your opinion more often. They even bring other guys around to test if you'll react. All of that? It's indirect warfare, and if you've got the eyes to see it, you'll realize you're not chasing women. They're orbiting you and battling each other while smiling to your face. And here's the real mind twist. They won't admit it. Ever. Not even to themselves. But you'll know. You'll feel it. You'll see the side eyes, the energy spikes, the strange emotional dips when you focus on one girl too long. And the most powerful move you can make, don't pick. Let them pick themselves. Because when a woman self-elects, when she competes and chooses to pursue you instead of feeling pursued, you create something unshakable, emotional buy-in. She's no longer interested because of you. She's invested because of her own effort. And that kind of connection, it hits different. It sticks. It changes her. So if you've ever watched women subtly shift around you, if the vibe in the room tightens when you show up, don't question it. Don't ignore it. You've got gravity now, and gravity doesn't chase, it pulls. Sign 7. She starts projecting fantasies onto you without even knowing you yet. Let me say this loud so it echoes. When a woman starts fantasizing about a life with you before she even knows your last name, you've become more than attractive, you've become symbolic. This is one of the most dangerous signs. Not for you, but for her. Because once it happens, you're no longer a man. You're a story. And stories are powerful. Stories bypass logic. Stories burn into memory. Stories get replayed in silence, in bed, in journals, in voice notes to best friends. Fantasy is the fuel of female desire. Women are more likely to be aroused by imagined scenarios than visual stimuli. Dr. Meredith Chivers, sex researcher, Queen's University. So here's how it plays out. You haven't even revealed much. You're calm, observant. You've said maybe 30 words total, none of them trying to impress her, and yet, later that night, she's imagining what your apartment looks like. She's picturing what you're like in bed. She's wondering how her name would sound next to yours. She's projecting. And that, my brother, is the point of no return. Because once she starts fantasizing about you, you're not competing with other men anymore. You're now being measured against the idea of you she's built in her mind. That idea is built off. Your stillness, your silence, your slow blinks, your unpredictability, your effortless confidence, and it becomes addictive. Because unlike men, who often chase physical novelty, women crave emotional novelty. Something new to feel, something rare to imagine, something dangerous to desire, and that's what you've become. The less a woman knows about a man she's intrigued by, the more vivid and powerful the internal fantasy becomes. Esther Perel, psychotherapist. Now, how do you know this is happening? Look for signs like, she asks deep, future-leaning questions early on. What kind of dad do you think you'd be? Or, do you believe in soulmates? She references compatibility signs without you prompting it. We actually get along so well. It's weird. She teases you like you're already a couple. You're so annoying, I can't with you. She starts assuming things about you. You're probably the type who'd... That last one is gold. Because the second a woman starts creating assumptions about you without real evidence, she's building the fantasy, she's writing the script in her head, and you're the lead character. But here's the twist. This only happens when a man is hard to read, but emotionally charged. If you're just silent with no substance, you're invisible. If you're just loud with no mystery, you're forgettable. But if you've got depth that reveals itself slowly, a kind of confident restraint, her subconscious latches onto that and says, "There's something there. I can feel it." And now, she's projecting not just attraction, but meaning. You're no longer a guy she likes. You're different. You're rare. You're the kind of man who doesn't come around often, and she doesn't even know you yet. That's the power of psychological seduction. That's what separates the average from the unforgettable, because most men throw themselves at women with all the information up front. They leave no room for mystery, no room for fantasy, no room for imagination. But an eye-catcher, he says less, reveals less, and lets her own mind do all the heavy lifting. And here's where it gets dangerous. When a woman starts projecting onto you, her emotional attachment deepens fast, way faster than she'll admit. Now she's not just into you. She's into the potential you, the possible you, the version of you she wants to believe in, and that version is often more powerful than the real you. That's why, even when things go cold, she might linger. That's why she might stick around, even when she swears she's done. That's why she might cry over you after a few dates, not because of what you did, but because of what she imagined you could have been. You weren't just a man. You were a narrative. It's not what he gave her. It's what she thought he could give. That's what made him unforgettable. Alpha energy. So when you start seeing this, when women are talking about you like they've known you longer than they have, when they start asking questions that don't match the timeline, when they get emotional over hypothetical futures with you, you've become a living, breathing archetype, a mirror they project onto, a myth in motion. Don't abuse it. Don't fake it. Don't exaggerate it. Own it calmly, quietly, because being the man she wants to believe in is a privilege and a responsibility. It means you don't need to do more. You just need to keep being what you are, present, silent, self-contained, and unexplainable. That's what creates the fantasy. And once the fantasy begins, you're in her bloodstream. Sign number 8. She gets emotional, and she doesn't know why. Let's stop pretending. The ultimate sign that you're an eye-catcher, a real threat to her emotional control, is when she starts reacting with feelings that don't match the timeline. Frustration, irritation, tension, jealousy, nervous laughter, sudden coldness, overwhelming warmth, and in the most extreme cases, tears, and the most dangerous part, none of it makes sense to her. When emotion exceeds logic, attachment is forming. Dr. Antonio Damasio, neuroscientist. If she's acting off around you, hot one day, cold the next, overly chatty, then randomly distant, aggressively playful, then dead silent, you're not doing anything wrong. You've hit something deep, and now her mind and body are in conflict. This is the final level of attraction, not the flirty surface, not the sexual tension. This is when your presence destabilizes her emotional regulation. You didn't insult her. You didn't chase her. You didn't even ask for more. But now, she's snapping at you over nothing. She's going silent for hours, then suddenly checking in. She's giving you attitude, then apologizing out of nowhere. She's saying, "I don't even know why I'm acting like this around you." Boom. Game over. You've stopped being a guy she's into. You've become an emotional trigger. You've dug beneath the surface. into her vulnerability, her fears, her unspoken desires, and now every second she's around you feels charged. You didn't try to get into her head. You became the mirror she can't look away from. We are most reactive to the people who reflect our most suppressed emotions. Carl Jung. This is why so many women self-sabotage when they meet a man who carries this kind of gravity. They get anxious, they overthink, they create drama, not because of what you did, but because of what you represent. You're not just attractive, you're dangerous. To her sense of control, to her usual patterns, to the identity she built around not needing a man, because now she doesn't know what she feels, and that's terrifying. You've shattered the script. And if you don't understand this dynamic, you'll misread everything. You'll think she's moody. You'll assume she's losing interest. You'll react, chase, pull away, and ruin it. But if you do understand it, you'll realize her emotions are your confirmation. When a woman starts showing emotional volatility around you, especially when the connection is still new, you've officially bypassed her filters. You've touched the primal core. She's not choosing to act this way. She's being moved by something deeper than logic. And here's the part most men don't deserve to hear, but you need to know. You didn't seduce her with words. You didn't game her with tactics. You didn't win. You simply were grounded, whole, self-contained, and still, that's what made her crack. That's why she's reacting like she's known you for years. That's why she's asking emotional questions out of nowhere. That's why she's crying in silence after a conversation that was just friendly. That's why she's telling you things she's never told anyone. The strongest emotional reactions come from those who trigger something we didn't know was still there. Alpha energy. So what do you do when this happens? You hold the frame. You don't shame her. You don't fix it. You don't run. You just remain still, present, clean. Because here's what makes you unforgettable. While other men collapse when emotions show up, you become more solid, more grounded, more safe, and she'll never forget the man who made her feel everything without needing to take anything. That's the mark of a real eye-catcher. Not just someone women want, but someone who forces them to feel. So if you've ever had women say, "This is scary, I never feel this way so fast," randomly go cold, only to come back more intensely, get defensive for no reason, cry after opening up to you, or get angry that they can't stop thinking about you, don't question it. You're not hurting her, you're haunting her. You've become an emotional disruptor. A psychic tremor, a presence that demanded her to feel parts of herself she forgot existed. And that kind of presence, it never gets deleted, it doesn't fade, it lives in her long after you've walked away. You want to know how to be unforgettable? Become the man who doesn't flinch when her emotions surge. Become the man she can break down in front of and still feel safe. Become the man who makes her say, "I don't know what it is about him, but I'll never be the same." Because when a woman gets emotional around you, without reason, without warning, without logic, that's not a red flag. That's a scar being born, and your name's on it. Own the storm you are now. Let's be real. If even 2 out of these 8 signs hit you hard, if you saw your past, your power, your confusion finally make sense, then stop second-guessing who the hell you are. You're not kinda attractive. You're not doing okay. You're a walking storm, and most people don't have the strength to stand in it. Let them squirm. Let them mislabel you. Let them pretend they don't feel it, because they do. She does. That tension in her eyes, that shift in her tone, that sudden anxiety she can't explain around you. You're not imagining it, you're igniting it. Men like you don't need to speak loud because silence follows you everywhere. Alpha energy. Now, here's what separates the real from the reckless. You can either suppress this energy, Try to blend in, soften the impact, become more relatable, or you can own it, stand in it. Let your presence be exactly what it is, undeniable. Because when you own this kind of power with discipline, with stillness, with control, you don't just attract women, you awaken them. You remind them what masculinity feels like. You become the standard they never knew they were missing, until you showed up. So what now? Here's the mission. Subscribe. If you're done with sugar-coated dating advice and want raw, unapologetic truth that actually makes you dangerous, like this video, if something in your chest lit up while watching this, share this with a brother who's been sleeping on his own value, and most importantly, comment the Alpha Mantra if you haven't yet. I move in silence, but I'm always seen. Because that's what you are now. Not a maybe, not a possibility, a presence. Don't chase women. Don't chase validation. Become the man they whisper about when you leave the room. This is Alpha Energy. Own it or get left behind.